Hi folks, welcome back to the channel once again. Thank you very much for joining me. You are always most welcome. So today the Airfix catalogue has arrived, hot on the heels of their 2025 new release announcements a few days ago. The catalogue has just literally dropped into my hands from the postman. So why not let's take a look at it. And it's something that, yeah, it's very nice that they've sent me this. I didn't get charged for it, so that's very kind of them. And I think they're about £9, aren't they? So it's not a cheap item, but to be fair, it's pretty weighty. It's just like I get magazines that cost similar sorts of money every month anyway. You know, things like car magazines, and they're full of adverts. So to be honest, it's probably better value. You can argue it's all one advert, but it's you buy it because you want it, don't you? That's the thing. And there is quite a lot of work goes into these. And I said when I was doing the review of the ICM catalogue, I prefer a physical catalogue like this. It's not very well having everything online, but you've got to go online, you've got to make sure you've got your battery charged up, you've got your connections okay. You don't have any of that with this, you just reach for it. You know, I can stick it over here with the rest of my catalogues like the ICM one, she's just popped in underneath there. And at any point, you know, when I'm talking and filming one of these reviews or talks, I can grab it and instantly, you know, just refer straight into it without any problem at all. I prefer it that way. And I've got to say, this is definitely growing. This is like the ICM one. It's growing. I can tell that's thicker than last year's. For sure, it feels really chunky. It must be 10 or 15% thicker than before. It's really quite a tome. Anyway, let's have a look. I'm going to zoom you in. You don't see my ugly mug. Have a look at what we've got coming out this year from Airfix in Margate. Let's have a look. So first of all, as I mentioned when I was flicking through the images in the website with the pricing a few days back, you can see that this is the new Jaguar GR1. And you can tell it's the GR1 in the actual image because of its nose. It's got the solid nose without the window in it. And it appears to be sort of doing, I think, it's Scottish bombing ranges. Probably circa about 1974, 75, I'm guessing. So if it's local from Lossamy, I think it will be 74. Anyway, let's have a look inside what we got. I'll zoom you back. Appreciate it's not always the easiest thing to see in detail, but at the end of the day, this sort of review I'm doing now isn't to try and give you every single image. I mean, I've seen some people have gone through the Airfix presentation almost verbatim, you know, just showing you literally what Dale showed us. I'm not sure why people do that, but I'm just giving you a flavour of this so that if it piques your interest, you'll go and get yourself a copy. Let's have a look at what we've got then. So 2025 for Airfix kicks off here. So let's have a looky. Starts off, welcome to the catalogue, and the index is at the front. A youngster building a Spitfire, something that was, I think, each and every one of us probably watching this video at one point, but sadly today perhaps not as many as they used to be, but I think that's just a sign of the time. And it's the Quickbuild range here, so they're talking about Quickbuild. I don't think they had any new releases on Quickbuild this year, but they've done quite a lot. They've got the London Taxi, you've got the London Bus, Lamborghini Huracan Evo, the Lamborghini Aventador, the very Lamborghinis, Jaguar I-Pace, E-Trophy. These are pretty good kits. They're all made in the UK as well, in fact, so they're manufactured in Britain, in England, in fact. Ford Mustang GT68 and the Mustang GT, the more modern version, 2016, can't remember. And then the Ford F-150 Raptor, McLaren Speedtail, very impressive. Jeep Quicksand Concept, Lord. And the Jeep Gladiator Overland, McLaren P1. Ooh. They're quite ambitious, these, aren't they, really? But, you know, for a youngster, ambitious subjects, though, you know. And the Audi TT Coupe, look at that. And the R8 Coupe. So some interesting vehicles. And you get to military vehicles. You've got Tiger Tank, Sherman Firefly. They do look quite cool. And I think they've got working tracks, haven't they, as well? Yes, they have. Working wheels and tracks. Quickbuild Spitfire, look at that. Oh, epic. Messerschmitt 109, Battle of Britain Messerschmitt 109, an Apache, a Mustang, D-Day Spitfire with invasion stripes, D-Day Mustang with invasion stripes, Red Arrow's Hawk, and then the Black Trainer Hawk, Lightning 2, F-35. Wow. Clever up in the way they've done the breakup of it as well, you know, or the breakdown I should say. Eurofighter Typhoon, superb. Yeah, can we have one in 48 scale, please? Starting on my next hobby horse. F22 Raptor. That's something I'd like to see them do in 48 scale. I would love to see them do that actually in the future. There are not enough of those on the market, I think. Anyway. And then the Harrier, so the Harrier FGR9, I think, maybe. The late ones, isn't it? And then we get into the sort of the proper kits, scale model kits. And it talks about all their YouTube presence and all the rest of it. Oh, got Matt Whiting here. Matt Whiting makes an appearance. Look, he's got his apron as well. He must mean business. He's now head of design, isn't he, at Airfix? So well done to him. And he had a big birthday last year, didn't he? And then, yeah, making the hobby even better. Talks about development. Talks about the Airfix Club. And then, oh, look at this. Oh, I'm going to zoom in on this. Oh, this is where I should stop talking and just start reading, you know, and then disappear off into my own little world. Talks about the BSAC TSR2 in development, and saying that they needed advanced aircraft trainers, and how the Jaguar is going to be that, obviously in the two-seater form. Now this photograph makes me very optimistic, because what was I talking about in my video the other day about the range when I said would love to see one in the Arctic scheme, and there it is at the bottom right. You see that? Jaguar looks fantastic in the Arctic scheme, I think. And it actually says above the Arctic livery. So there's barley grey, a splendid study of Jaguar's different paint schemes while in RAF service. Yeah, no, they basically are those four schemes, aren't they? Really, you got the Gulf War scheme. That's taken at Cultishall, that picture, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. The Arctic livery where distemper is painted over the dark sea grey portions. Okay, so they paint the white over the grey basically. That's cool, isn't it? It makes it stand out so much. So I'm hoping that in the future Airfix will introduce a variant with that. And clearly they have been doing some really good research, because there's a fantastic background write-up about the Seppacat Jaguar. A much underrated aircraft, and one of the greatest strengths of this plane was the fact that it did end up doing quite a lot of roles. It was never an outright fighter, air superiority fighter, but pretty much everything else, you know, reconnaissance, tactical strike aircraft, laser designator, and all sorts of other things it did. Did some work with the designator pods for the tornadoes in the Gulf War, for example, as well as dropping bombs and munitions itself. And it's one of its greatest features that people don't really talk about often enough is the undercarriage and the gear. It was really strong, and it could land on fairly rough grassy strips. And in fact, they actually landed one. There's some footage, you can see it on YouTube, where they land diagonally across the strip at Wharton on what is quite a bouncy, quite uneven, clearly uneven. You can see the way it bounces around, and it handles it effortlessly. It just bobs along, you know, in a way that your Tornadoes and your Phantoms certainly could not do. Quite remarkable, the Jaguar. That's one of the reasons I was so enthusiastic that they produced this, and here it is. So nobody is happier to see this model than I, but I'm sure many of you feel the same way. So there we go. So that's a great start. And then we got talking about what's on the boxes and what you tend to get, what the skill level, how it all works. So they've basically made it on the Jaguar as their key release of the year, haven't they? The fact that they've come out with this special double spread, it's absolutely, I really like that. That's fantastic. 10 out of 10 from me. And I say they move then on to all the other things like the Shannon lifeboat, and then you've got talking about the shadow stands, which is something else I very much approve of and really would like to see more of in the 72nd and 48 scale kits, to be honest. Maybe it's something for the future, who knows. They've got the Mustang there, they've got the 109F, and these are all starter set kits. You've got your Red Arrows Hawk, F-35, and your 72nd scaled Eurofighter Typhoon. Really do need to have one of those, don't we, in the proper range. And then some lovely cars. You've got Bugatti Chiron, which is a very probably one of the most expensive cars you can buy. And the McLaren 765 Longtail, Huracan Evo from Lamborghini, and the Pagani Huayra. Fantastic. Land Rover Series 1 pickup. Look at these. Jaguar E-Type. Look at that. And a very 007 looking Aston Martin DB5. Sherman Firefly. I had one of these, I think, myself actually. Did I? I think I did. I did a review on one of these. I think I did on both the Tiger and the Sherman actually. And then you've got the Mary Rose. The Mary Rose with a really nice painting there. Still going. That's made into a starter set. That's quite an old tool actually, but it still sells. That does. Still sells. Anyway, then you got these gift sets where you get like or they used to call it dogfight doubles, but they call them gift sets as a duo now. But again, they get these wonderful shadow stands, which I think are brilliant. And you know, to a youngster, I think there's a lot of appeal there for these. I think this is where Airfix do excel in some respects, almost, you know, market leading. No question on these. They always were good at it, and here we go. They actually now call them dogfight doubles, and they come with a shadow stand. And the stands they used to have in days of yore, back in the 70s, were a bit grim, to be honest. So it's quite a good, positive move by them. And then we've got here, we've got the Messerschmitt BF109 F4 and the Mustang. And we've got the Spitfire 5C and the BF109 F4. Oh, they used the F4 twice. That was cheating, wasn't it? And then over here we've got HMS Belfast. Now, why is that in a gift set? I guess it's because they include all the Humbrol paints, which I have to be honest, I'm not a fan of. I think most people probably feel similar to me on that. But they do get a paintbrush, you do get some glue. So again, it's aimed at the younger market. And as I should have pointed out, all these I've just shown you have that in. That's why they call them a gift set, because everything's included that you need, really, basically. And then you've got the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight gift set, Dan Buster's gift set with the F-35, which of course is now in 617 Squadron, and the Lancaster. And then you've got this new one this year, which is where they basically, it's a re-intro rather than a new tool. But you've got a Heinkel HU-111, a Spitfire, a Hurricane, and a Messerschmitt 109 all thrown in together, and they all have a single stand. They're all sprouting from a single stand, it would seem, which is quite clever, really. I'm going to zoom in on that. I quite like that. By the way, the standard of the models that they're showing finished is very high. I don't know if this is Paramjit's work, because I know he does quite a few of them. He's not the only one, though, is he? But Airfix seem to have got some of their guys who are making these and doing pretty epic work, to be honest. Now I say that, I'm not saying this out of any favouritism towards Airfix or because I'm a Brit or anything like that, but not being rude, but if you look historically at things like Revell's kits, when they show a finished model, doesn't really encourage you to go and buy the model. They have improved in the last 2-3 years, in fairness, but some of their stuff, you know, you look at it and you think, is that the best they could do, you know? Whereas when you see Airfix at Telford Scale Model World, the standard of the finished models that they have on their stand are really high, actually. Sometimes it makes me a bit nervous. I'm thinking, well, I'm not sure if mine's going to be that good, to be honest. But we can try, it's all you can do. And you can see it again here, actually. Zoom you back in. We've got this D-Day fighter set. It's quite cool, isn't it? So you've got a Spitfire Mark 9, you've got a Typhoon, another 109 G6, isn't it? G6, does it say? Bum, 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 bum. Can't quite make it out, actually. It's one of the G models, anyway. And you've got the Mustang, of course, and the Focke-Wulf 190. So you've got a heck of a set there. That's really worth considering. Then you've got your D-Day Air Assault set with all your ground crew, you know, refuelling your Typhoons. What they call it, the 4th Tactical Air Force, was it? Which of course were in all connected with the Americans as well, with the Typhoons and Mustangs. And then you've got your D-Day Overlord Operation Overlord set, I should say, complete with your gun emplacement. I had this one when I was a kid. I had that back in the late 70s. I think it came out about 78, 77, 78. But I liked it. I thought that was one of the really good products of the day. So that's nice to see that again. I've got a Willis Jeep here. Looks like it's going to one of the Horsa gliders, either for D-Day or Market Garden. the Arnhem drops, Harrier GL9, and so every one of these sets is a set that comes with the paints and the brushes. So they've got quite a wide range, haven't they? You know, you've got your Sea King HAR3 rescue, and then we get into the new stuff. So new stroke reissued. So here we go. So this is very reminiscent of what Dale was showing us in his presentation. So we've got the Spatial Discovery, and then we've got headlining this year, brand new mould, is the Artemis, which is the lunar rocket, new generation of lunar exploration and space exploration rockets. Obviously it's the, you could call it the offspring of the Apollo program. Now I have to be honest and say that the finished model that they showed in that presentation, when you saw it in detail, when they zoomed in, there were some horrible gaps. Not trying to be nitpicking here, but it did spring out to me when I saw it near the end of the video, and I thought, oh. But it does look, obviously it's just like a test shot, but it looks a nice model, this, and there's a lot of it. $49.99 they're retailing this at, so I think that's very good value. So that's that one. Then you've got the shuttle, which we mentioned. Zoom back slightly. So big, aren't they? The shuttle, there it is, with its booster rockets just jettisoning. I built this many years ago. I did the Moonraker version. But it's not a bad kit. I was telling people in the live chat, I don't know if some of you picked up on this, I literally, a funny story, here we go. I literally decided I was going to have my own shuttle launch, and I put two very large standard fireworks, actually, rockets, not the bottle rockets, these are the big things, you know. And I, in each booster I put one of those. So this would be around about 1980, 81, late 80 I think. And we had a launch pad for it and everything, and yeah, the problem of course with this is without electronics you'll never get them to ignite at the same moment. Sure enough, one ignited, you know, lighting it with a match basically. And even with me and my friend doing our very best work, one just, I think, had perhaps a longer fuse, you know, and one just ignited half a second ahead of the other, with disastrous results of it suddenly leaping into the air and exploding basically. Luckily we were at a safe distance, it was fine. We did this on a common, nobody else was around. But it was a shame because it was actually quite a nice built kit as well. The stupid things you do when you're young, isn't it? I'm sure some of you have done very similar things, but it was blown to bits. You know, it was not sort of something that you could just stick together again, because these are two powerful rockets. And when this went wrong, you know, today I'd have had a video on it, and you could have seen the video footage, but I didn't have anything like that then. It was blown to smithereens, rest assured. Anyway, also I have a connection with this one, of course, the Saturn V. It's probably my first model, actually. I always say my first model was the Spitfire Mark 9, which I think was the Airfix one. Then I had the, I think it was then possibly, it was either that or the Angel Interceptor from Airfix. I think it was the Angel Interceptor. Then I think it was the Spitfire Mark 9, and then I think Matchbox, I think it was the Harrier first one I had. But this was before I actually made it myself, and I just had a bit of input, but my dad I made it with my father basically. And we didn't paint it initially, and we took some photos. I've still got the photos somewhere. Which we developed at Boots. I remember I've had them for over 50 years, you know, 53 years or something. But even in wide, we took some quite decent pictures with a box brownie camera, which came out really well. It looked good, to be honest. And then later I actually did paint up the black section. It looked even better, in fairness. And it's quite a nice model, I've got to say. I think it's definitely worth considering. And I'm just trying to remember what the pricing was. I didn't quote it. Was it $39.99, I think, on this one? About £40-45, I think, anyway. Anyway, I'm digressing. Enough of my history. So, back to the catalogue. So, the Lysander, which is, by the time you watch this video, they should be starting to arrive, because I understand that they're imminent almost literally any day, almost any hour. So, that's the 72nd scale range. And I won't go through them verbatim here, but they've reintroduced the Fokker Eindecker. Zoom in a bit. Brought the Eindecker from World War I back, which is this aircraft that is, of course, its control surfaces are basically operated effectively by warping, wire warping of the wing. Incredible, really. But it worked, you know, and it was just like, almost like it's like a hang glider style of aerial control, if you like. Then we've got the Royal Aircraft Factory BE-2C, which is shooting down a Zeppelin in this artwork. And then we've got all the stuff we saw last year, the Warhawk and the Mustang and the Hurricane Mark 1, Spitfire Mark 1A from the Battle of Britain, the 109E4. I've actually got that one to build, but I've got it in 48 scale. The one that got away. And then the 0A6M. Really, it's quite heavy, this is very impressive. And then we've got new schemes for the Focke-Wulf 190, the A8 F8. So some new marking schemes. It looks like it's on the Eastern Front, knocking out a T-34. And then we've got over here, we've got the 1B Hawker Typhoon. Looks like it's in Normandy, knocking out armoured vehicles. And we've got the Spitfire PR. Is this the one that they said it's got new schemes? I can't quite remember now, straining my memory. The PR 19. The 109G6, yeah, it was the 109G6 I was looking at. The other one. Focke-Wulf 190 A8. Mustang P51D. New schemes for the Hurricane Mark 1. So that's good. Excellent. And the Supermarine Spitfire Mark 5C. Got de Havilland Tiger Moth, Gloucester Gladiator. Anything new here? Just there's anything new. I don't think there's anything actually new. Bolton Paul Defiant, which almost looks like a Spitfire with a gun turret stuck behind the cockpit from a distance. F4 Wildcat. Yeah, it shows it in the desert there. Interestingly, desert. Is that North America or no? It's stuck in the Japanese. I think on one of the islands. And then we've got the Hunting Percival Jet Provis T3 T4 and the Tempest Post-War Tempest Mark 5, and of course the Follow Nat, which was jet trainer in the Royal Air Force and used by the Red Arrows. Now then, one of the big headlines this year, 72nd scale, was the Westland Wessex HC2, and I've got to say this. I'm not a huge helicopter fan myself, but it did look really nice in 72nd scale. I thought it was pretty superb looking. Lots of detail. You know, it's got all the exhausts and it's got all the intakes and quite a lot of piping and detailing work and the winch on the side. Looks a nice model. If you're into your Wessexes, and it reminded me of the Falklands War. There was the Humphrey. I don't think that's one of the schemes though. Did it say? No, I don't think Humphrey's one of the schemes, but that's the one I would like to see, but you can always get aftermarket for it, I think. A few decals and you're away. Then we have got reintroduction of the Bristol Blenheim, the Mark 1F, which is nice to see actually, interesting aircraft. Over here we've got our BF 110 Trop, the African and Mediterranean version. Messerschmitt 262's in there, the Bristol Beaufort, Junkers J87 Stuka. And over here we've got the MiG-17 Fresco. This time it's got American markings, interestingly. Westland Seeking HC4. And then the Hawker Siddeley Harrier GR1, which they reintroduced with those new schemes last year. The GR1 and AV8A, which is a very nice model. I've actually got that to build somewhere. Now then, new parts and new schemes. The ME410A1. I'm just trying to see. They haven't made it very clear about what the new parts are. It says new parts. It must be something quite subtle, I think, because it doesn't look fundamentally hugely different. It's still got the little remote control guns on the side, but something has clearly changed, apart from the schemes. Then you've got your Gloucester Meteor F8, F9, de Havilland Mosquito, the Photo Reconnaissance one, the 16, and the Blenheim Mark 9F. It's got some nice ones in 72nd scale these days, haven't they? And they're all recent toolings, these. Then you got a Heinkel HE111P2, and then you got the original version of the Messerschmitt 410. I'm still not clear what the differences are with that, but anyway. And then you've got the North American Mitchell B25C and D, which is the one that's got all the glasswork, isn't it, in the front. New parts and new schemes for the Chinook for the Afghanistan operation. Does it say any detail about that? Yeah, I think one's Afghanistan. I think the other one might be the Battle of Britain Memorial flight because it's got a lot of decoration on it. But anyway, then we've got the Gulf War Buccaneer S2B and the Phantom FGR1, FGR2, standard Chinook in its previous iteration. And then we've got, this is one of the interesting ones, new parts and new schemes. So we've got the D version of the B-24 Liberator, Lady Be Good. This is the one I talked about in my presentation the other day, where sadly this has got a bit of a sad story behind it, this Liberator, where it got lost over the Libyan desert and they crashed. Most of the crew survived, but they ended up wandering around the desert for days and ultimately perished, I'm afraid. And it's quite a sad story because there's some people have done some research and realised that they made it quite a way. I think there was some problem with the compass. I can't quite remember the full story now, but I know they ended up wandering off slightly in the wrong direction from where they thought they were going, and that was part of the story. But it's a bit sad, really. But it's certainly something. It's an interesting story to sort of read or watch about. You can see videos on YouTube about that. Then we've got this updated new schemes on the Fortress Mark III, including the British scheme. Interesting, it's got the night scheme basically. So clearly being used in the night raids. And then you've got the H Liberator Corky, which we saw last year, of course. Yeah, so the chin is a different design, isn't it? It's between the H and the D. Yeah, the H has got this more of a bit longer glass area underneath. Avro Lancaster B3, standard sort of Lancaster, and very important, this reintroduction of the Victor tanker. Now I did a review on this one, oh gosh, it's got to be 7 or 8 years ago, and I was very impressed with it. So this is a very welcome return, I'd say. £75 in the shops, but it's a big monster, this, so don't be put off by the price. You're getting a heck of a lot of plastic. The only downside to that model is you will need a bit of room because it's big, you know, it's a monster. And then we've got the Vulcan, the Black Book Vulcan is there, which of course is the original first mission to Port Stanley and subsequent missions. And then we've got the Armstrong Whitworth Whitley and the Wellington. These are all monster planes. Wellington's not too bad for size, actually. That's the more modest of the lot of them, and including the German markings captured. Well. And then we have got the new stuff. Now then, there's interesting feedback about this. I was a little bit unsure. I thought this was a great choice. The new trainer, the TR9 Spitfire 2-seater. Wasn't quite as sure about this one, though, the Mark 9 in 48 scale. However, I understand that Dale has actually said that it was actually almost a no-brainer to produce that, because in tooling up for this one, using their existing data that they've already got from Mark 9s anyway, the most minor of tweaks was required to produce this kit on the right in 48 scale, the E version of the Mark 9. So, yeah, okay, now I hear that, then I can understand it. Yeah, you almost get two for the price of one in terms of manufacturing costs. So, that being the case, I can fully understand why they went for it. I do quite fancy it with the clip wings. It does look quite good, actually, like that. I wasn't brave enough to go for the clip wing version when I did my Tamiya 132 version. I wanted to get my money's worth and have the full wings, but I was actually doing that for a commemoration anyway for Charlie Fox, the guy who shot up Field Marshal Rommel in his staff car in Normandy in July 1944. But I do like this the Mark 9 Spit. I'm not sure the way it's printed here does it full justice, but it did look really quite nice from what I saw. So there you have it. So you get two Mark 9s almost for the price of one. Unfortunately, you've got to buy them both separately. Sorry about that. Then we've got the Bulldog from last year. Not my cup of tea, but an excellent kit from all accounts. Everybody says it goes together beautifully. The thing that puts me off that really is the rigging. Oh, you need steady hands for that, don't you? No champagne, okay. And then we've got the chipmunk, we've got the warhawk and the tiger moth. We've seen those before. New schemes on the Mark 1 Spitfire. So this is the absolute Mark 1, like one squadron at Duxford, I believe, is one of the one. I think that's the one that's pictured actually. And then you've got the existing iterations of it on the Mark 1A, the 109, 109 E3, E4, Hurricane Mark 1, all Battle Britain vintage. And then over here we've got reintroduction of the Bolt and Paul Defiant, and then the Curtis Tomahawk Mark 2, which looks amazing with those shark's teeth. Particularly good version of shark's teeth. Let me show this a bit closer. Looks really cool, doesn't it, actually? Spitfire Mark 7. Sorry, what was I saying? I'm a bit dyslexic. Mark 12, I mean. I was just thinking Mark 7, it's got a Griffin engine, it can't be. Mark 12, and then we've also got the Mark 18, which we have seen before. But, yeah, we all know that Airfix is the home of Spitfires. And then we have the new one, which is, as I say, by the time you watch this, it may be arriving in the next sort of 2 to 3 days. If you've pre-ordered it, the Lysander, which saw at Telford, and I have to say, it wasn't the top of my priority list, but I was very pleased to see it, and it looks a nice kit, to be fair. Got some really nice pilot and gunner figures in it as well, so that's very welcome. Yeah, something new, which hasn't, contrary to what I said at the time when I first saw this, it isn't the SOE version, but out of Odium, but that's coming later, I believe. So I think you'll see that in the not too distant future. And then we've got new schemes on the Spitfire 19, the photo reconnaissance high performance one, which was sort of after the war, wasn't it? Just after the end of the war. You've got your new scheme on the American Sabre F86, and you've got the Supermarine Seafire. Zoom in for this a bit more. Seafire, Sea Fury, and then the Stuka 87R2 B2, which was in the Battle of Britain, of course. Saying that, was it the Battle of Britain? Was I thinking of? No, I'm wrong. I just realised it's got sea behind it that look like the Mediterranean. This is like Malta and African and Italian campaign, I beg your pardon. Then we've got the reintroduction of the Fallen Gnat, which is actually not a bad kit. Just watch out for that cockpit area and make sure you need to do a bit more test fit than I did. I got into a lot of problems with it around the rear cockpit, and the fitting of the actual canopy was a bit tricky, but it looks, you've all seen it in Red Arrow's trim, it looks really nice. So I wouldn't want to put you off that one, it's a nice kit. And the Vampire, of course, the FB5 and FB9, and the Meteor F8 there as well. So, the Avro Anson, of course, came out in this new scheme some months ago. And it's the Portuguese scheme, which I recently confused with Malta on a Tiger Moth, I think it was. The Portuguese scheme and the Hellenic Greek scheme, and I think it was the Australian scheme, wasn't it? And then the Submarine Walrus we got here, and we've got that Hunter FGA9. Now that's a nice kit as well. It's something I might dabble into in the future. I've already got one of the earlier version, the FG6 was it? And then we've got new schemes for the Lynx, which is sort of a re-intro, I think, isn't it? I think it's a re-intro and it's got new schemes. Got the Buccaneer, which arrived right at the beginning of the year, 12 months ago now, which is a fantastic kit. Fantastic kit. Then we've got brand new parts coming in on the Gannet. Yeah, people know I don't really like the Gannet, but the kit is allegedly an excellent one, so don't let my discriminatory anti-Gannet thoughts put you off, because if you have any interest in these naval subjects, I think you're going to find it is really a beauty to build. It's got that amazing folding wing business, and this is the COD 4 version. So the COD 4 is the carrier, what do they call it? Carrier on deck, is it? Carrier? I've forgotten already. Carry on deck or carry on delivery. I I think a lot of people are waiting for the airborne early warning version of that kit, to be fair. Then you've got your new, just arriving very recently. We've got the new schemes and new parts version of the Jungly Seeking, the HC4, as per used in the Falklands, of course. Well, and also used in the Gulf War. So that's a really nice looking Seeking. That's the one I'd probably plump for. And then we have the big presentation of the year, the one you've all been waiting for, the one that I have certainly been waiting for many, many years. As I say, it felt like my birthdays and Christmases all came at once when this was announced. And I'd almost gone past caring. I'd given up really. And it looks like they've engineered a really beautiful job of this. So this is the new Sepcat Jaguar GR1. Absolutely delighted that this has arrived. Kind of long overdue, this one. And hugely popular, judging by the reaction of everybody during the live presentation when it was on YouTube. Huge reaction. A lot of joy, a lot of passion for this. And they've gone and come up with an interesting take on it, being the original GR1 without the glass nose, and the glass nose GR1A as well. So they've done a really nice job of it. It comes with some nice tanks, EMI reconnaissance pod, the AIM-9L sidewinders, the FIMAT pod, and the ALQ-101 ECM pod. So they've got a lot. They've got the sidewinders on the top of the wing, as you saw in the Gulf War, of course. So they've really got quite a lot of stuff with it. I would have liked to have seen maybe. Have they got any bombs? Oh yeah, 1,000-pound bombs. I missed that. I beg your pardon. I was going to say I would like to see some Matcha rocket pods, but I'm not sure how often they use those. I think they tended to be on the Harriers, didn't they? But it's a beautiful looking thing. Nice in that it's got not one, not two, not three, but 4 schemes to choose from. I quite fancy a Mark 1 GL1. But there you have it. Very much looking forward to this, and it is due, I am told, in March, late March. They're saying so. Watch this space. Then we recently had this nice Mark 8 version of the Spitfire, which of course has got the retracting tail wheel, amongst other things. And yeah, it's got different instrument panel, there are differences with the tanks in the wings and things like that. A very nice model, I've got to say. Yeah, but you know, another Spitfire, so we won't drag our feet with it too much. Then we've got military vehicles. So we're only 2/3 of the way through the catalogue, and we're just starting the military vehicles. And the ferrets are now coming through. You'll see more on the ferret in a minute. And then we've got this reintroduction. Sorry, zoom you. Reintroduction of the hardtop and trailer Land Rover, 76 scale, which is 00. Am I right? 00 scale. And it's a train scale, isn't it? Then we've got the British Army. Oh, my friend David will love this. The reintroduction of the British Army Bedford truck, the 4-ton 4x4 general service truck. You've got Land Rover truck, which is quite an interesting vehicle, isn't it? That it's definitely a military variant, which is a reintro. Also, we've got the British 105 light field gun, as used in the Falklands War, of course, extensively. Does it mention that? Actually, I didn't read it. Does it say? Oh yes, it does, right at the end. Widely served with distinction during the Falklands War. There you go. And then we've got our RAF bomber resupply. Now we're into 72nd scale, obviously. So you can have an airfield scene with your Lancasters. We got the Cromwell Mark IV, which is a nice tank, obviously. And then you've got your 3-ton troop carrying trucks, which I think are Bedfords. I think they're Bedford QL, yeah. And then you got your Willis Jeep, which I mentioned earlier. The American USAF resupply set with your B-17 there. And then you got a Higgins landing craft, the LCVP. Sherman Firefly VC and Tiger 1. Those are the 2 kits I actually reviewed. I didn't do the starter set. I did them in that format. And then these are all reintroductions now. Let's zoom back slightly. Reintro of the Albion refuelling truck. 1500 weight 4x2 GS truck, general service truck, which was based on an Austin, I think. And then you've got your RAF ground crew. A lot of us remember these from back in the day. But this is the 48 scale version, and you've got some really nice figures there actually. Zoom you back in a bit more for that. Whoops! Wait. In Peter, not out. Here we go. There we are. So you've got some really nice figures there actually in various poses with all this ancillary equipment. That's what it's like when they're crawling all over your Hurricane. It's nice, isn't it? And then we get to the second highlight of the year for me. Almost equal to the Jaguar. I've not been waiting quite as long for this one, but I did suggest it. Somebody said, by the way, some of you may have seen this comment. One gentleman was, I don't know if he was being serious or not actually, he may have just been pulling my leg, but he sounded absolutely outraged and he said, Peter, I have a complaint against you. You knew about this Jaguar and this Stalwart. You clearly had inside information. As I can speak before my own conscience and the good Lord himself, I have no knowledge whatsoever. Dale and his gang are as tight-lipped as they ever are. I have nothing at all, no information from anybody within Airfix, out of Airfix, subcontracts of Airfix or anybody else. I knew nothing. I knew less than Manuel from Faulty Towers. I know nothing. Maybe it was just instinct, or maybe it was just that other people felt the same way and they'd been given the same advice from other quarters. Clearly they didn't in the Stalwart's case. They clearly didn't take me at my word and instantly provide a Stalwart because of what I said. They couldn't have done it in that time. It's quite impossible. So obviously there was a feeling that this was an ideal, natural fit within the range, especially after the Ferret, which is why I said it. I said, you've done the Ferret, it would be a good fit, you know. And it's a smashing vehicle. And I said they'd never done it before. Wasn't quite right in when I said that, because they had done, as another gentleman pointed out, the polyurethane little, they used to do tanks and military vehicles that were pre-built in polyurethane. They were really like, for kids of my age, I was only, when they came out I was about 8 or 9 I suppose, and it was for wargaming really, you know, and they were quite good actually. It wasn't as good as the model, but they weren't far off, you know, they were quite good. And they did do a version of the Stalwart in that, but I think that's the only one they ever did. But I was quite, even I was taken aback, because the two things I wanted the most, Stalwart and the Jag, I got them both. So I doff my cap to you, Airfix. Thank you, Dale. Thank you, all of your team. He'll just tell me to be quiet. He'll probably put a gag on me now, and if he sees me in the future, so you're not allowed to speak for 10 years. But it was remarkable that I got both the things I was asking for. I can understand why some people would be suspicious, but I can promise you it was sheer coincidence. Sheer coincidence. Remarkable. Let's hope I can... Maybe I need to go and get a lottery ticket or something, you know? Obviously my luck's in this week, yeah? Anyways, back to the Stalwart. So this is the on the military vehicle side, this is the big announcement this year, the big release. Absolutely looks brilliant, to be honest. I really do like the way it looks. Literally an answer to my prayers, and I was talking to David Mummery. In fact, somebody was saying, just go back to that, I just want to flesh this out so that people don't think I'm fibbing. The reason that we started talking about Stalwarts was when we were at the Nantwich show at the end of February in 24. There was a chap there who had done this, and some of you must have seen this. If you go back to my Nantwich show, Universal Model Show slideshow, somebody had done a Stalwart from Accurate Armour, the resin one. And he'd done a beautiful job of it, and it had everything in it. It had a tool set with all the sockets in 35th scale. Beautiful work. Because I took several photos and I was sighing, saying, you know, if I live to be 200, I'm not going to be as good as this chap is. And he'd done such finesse detail, so tiny. He must have incredible eyes. If you're watching, sir, I take my hat off to you. And we were saying, this is when I started getting on my high horse about the Alvis Stalwart, because David and I were saying that is absolutely brilliant. Why don't Airfix do that? That would be perfect in their range. And that is where the seed, that's the very first time, I'm not going to tell you it was like 5 years like it was with the Jag this time, so it was more like, you know, just under 12 months really. It was, well, before I mentioned it, it was about 7 months. 7 or 8 months. And that's where the genesis of that idea came from, because we sort of looked at each other and we were like, actually, this is a perfect fit for Airfix. It really is. And you can see how gorgeous it looked, and I was thinking that it's missing in their range. They need to do it. Well, here it is. So there you go. So now you know the background to that one. But the way that it looks, and this is due out, I think, fairly soon. I think we're going to get this again probably about February, March, April. It's in the next few months. It looks beautiful. Great, again, great artwork, very high impact. And if I zoom you back, don't they look nice? Don't they look nice? Somebody said, "Oh, the detail's a little bit basic. You might need aftermarket on it." Well, I'm not sure about that. We'll have to see, won't we? We'll have to see. But it does say here, which is kind of the point I was sort of making when I suggested it in my "Give Us the Kits We Really Want" video. It says here, unquestionably one of the most distinctive military vehicles ever to see service in the British Army. Unique looking thing, isn't it? It looks very... Somebody said the other day, I think in the chat when Dale announced it, said it's very Jerry Anderson looking. And I think that's what grabbed the imagination of people like me at that age group. Because it came out at a time when Jerry Anderson, you know, we had Space 1999 and all that stuff. UFO, very UFO-like. You think of the Shadow mobiles, it's very like that, isn't it? If you look at the cockpit, I even wonder if they got the idea from this, one or the other. I'm not sure who got the idea from who. But that sort of cabin looks like a Shadow mobile, doesn't it, actually? So anyway, I'm digressing. I take my hat off to Airfix. I think they've come up with a really good choice there. I think this is going to sell like hotcakes. I think you'll probably sell more of them than you will ferrets. That said, they brought out perhaps potentially the more popular version of the ferret here, the Mark 1 Ferret Scout car, with new parts, new schemes, including the Operation Granby, the Gulf War scheme, which was what I thought was kind of lacking a little bit in the first one. So I think that's actually... now we have a version that has been in a war. So yeah, I shouldn't be too negative. Perhaps I was a bit grumpy and a bit... I think the lack of a huge gun on top was what was upsetting me with the ferret. I sort of see it in my mind as like a Humber, development of the World War II Humber, really, but without the firepower. But anyway, obviously the one did have a heavy... It was a light gun, wasn't it? The one that was on the Mark II that we saw first. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I think it will sell well this time. I think this has got the potential to outsell the first one, but we shall see. Then we've got the K2 KT Ambulance, which has been a rip-roaring success for Airfix, that kit was. And you've got your Bedford 30 hundredweight truck, and your Cromwell Mark IV and Mark VI. And then we got some interesting... For some people, this is the highlight. The vintage classics. Now, I'm not a fan of old kits being brought back to life, only because well, we saw what we've seen what happened with Matchbox and Revell. At least Airfix are honest about it. They say this is an old kit, and they have the good common sense to put in some cases, new canopies where the clear parts are not too good, and new decals, because obviously that would be essential. But at least you know what you're getting, and they are very well priced. You get a lot of value for money with these. You're not being told it's a new product, and look at our new product with new artwork, and you're thinking it's new, which is what Revell do. They're telling you that you're buying an old product. It's a vintage classic, and it's a chance to have some nostalgia and relive your childhood, really, isn't it? So let's have a look then. So we've got the Sopwith pup. Whoops. And this Sopwith pup looks quite nice. Again, I get terrified of the First World War only because of the rigging. The rigging, I'm not up to the task, I don't think. I think you got the Hawker P1127, the 400 of the Harrier, the Kestrel, Lockheed Hudson. Some artwork here that really does stir the soul because we've seen it many years ago. And then, because of all the outcry from people, me included, about the Jaguar, they have disappointed some people by not retooling this. But as I said, you can't expect them to retool both scales. I do hope they will retool that in the not too distant future, because I think, again, you could see the reaction. People wanted it in 72nd scale as well, and it would sell well in 72nd scale because some people haven't got the room for the bigger kits, you know. So maybe that's the thing they can look at in the future. This is 1970 vintage kit, which is okay. You know, it's not terrible, but yeah, it's not. And it's got the window, the laser window, by the way. So it's technically it's a GL1A, I think, isn't it? I think I'm right. But yeah, I'm hoping that they will in time be able to plug that gap in the 72nd scale range as well. Also, we've got the Puma back and the Hamden we've seen before. Of course, somebody else is coming out with the Hamden in 48 scale, but won't mention that now. And then the Clipper. This was quite interesting because this is priced well, isn't it? It's only, I think it's £23. And even at 1144, it's quite a decent sized kit, so you get quite a lot of kit for your money really for 22, 23 quid. Then there's the Bristol Super Freighter, and then there's the ubiquitous Airfix stands. And please, guys, in the future, do redesign those because they are, yeah, past the sell by date. Way too long in the tooth. We'll skip over that. I did talk and show them recently. And you got Churchill Mark 7. Looks like it's in Normandy there. And then you've got all the classics. You've got the Panther. You've got your 25-pounder field gun, your Stug Sturmgeschütz. And then you've got your KFZ 234. The one I can never pronounce. Is it the Sparpanzer? They call it Sparpanzer. Same chassis as you get with the Puma, obviously. And then you got your Bren gun carrier with your 6-pounder anti-tank gun, AFC Matador and a 5.5-inch howitzer, and then a World War I mail tank. Russian T-34. Again, this wonderful Roycross artwork. We should just say a quick word. We lost Roycross, didn't we, in 2024? Very sad that we lost Roycross. It was really sad in that he had his 100th birthday and then he died literally a couple of days later. So that was really sad. And he was in a home, apparently. He wasn't really able to enjoy it as we'd hoped, perhaps. So, but he lived a good long life, and then this nobody, you know. I mean, we've now got people like Adam Tooby, who's a brilliant genius artist, using CAD. It's a different skill set, of course. But I'm sure Adam Tooby would like to think that if he could leave even half the imprint and history and legacy on these kits, the history of kit and model making generally, model industry, as Roy Cross did, I think he'd be very pleased and happy to accept that. Because Roy Cross really left a legacy. I mean, just look at all the work we've seen here. It is quite remarkable, you know. So what we got? We've got our Scammell tank transporter. We've got our Buffalo and Willis Jeep, Bofors gun and tractor, anti-aircraft gun, your LCM3 landing craft. Whoops, zoom back a bit. Zoomed in a bit too much. Landing craft and Sherman. Then you got your Panzer IV, German reconnaissance set, Pak 40 set, 88mm gun and tractor. Oh yes, fantastic. And then we get into the figures amongst the vintage classics. So you got US Marines, British Army in World War II, German infantry, the Guards Band, and you got the British 8th Army in North Africa, the Desert Rats, etc. Africa Corps, their #1 opposition, and your World War II US paratroopers, seen on D-Day and at Operation Market Garden. And you got your Guards colour party. RAF personnel scrambling in the Battle of Britain there with the Hurricane in the background. Same with the Luftwaffe, Messerschmitt 109E. Then you got your British paratroops, Arnhem style, or perhaps Pegasus Bridge on D-Day. World War II German infantry, American infantry, US paratroopers, and your German paratroops. Yes. And then finally the British infantry. Now then, and this is something that's got one or two people excited. Reintroduction of some classic boats, vintage classic boats. So starting with the Vosper MTB, which I actually reviewed a couple of years ago. I think it was James Mower's kit, that one, that he loaned to me. And it wasn't bad at all. Of its time, so be aware. And the RAF Rescue launch, as used, I mean, that looks like a real fast boat, doesn't it? As used in World War II. And then the German E-boat, which has got a lot of people excited, particularly for this one. This is the one I was questioning the price on. It's just shy of 50 quid, which I thought sounded a lot, but one or two of you said it's quite big, in fact. It's the biggest of the three boats, which is why it's dearer. Which is fair comment. HMS Ark Royal in the range, and then the others, HMS Ajax, I've seen these before. HMS Ajax, HMS Victorious from the 60s, HMS Belfast, HMS Hood, oh, that went down with a big bang, didn't it? Yeah, Hood's magazine went up, didn't it, the reckoning? Yeah, sank within 2 minutes. Oh, yeah, hit the rear magazine. And then we've got the Bismarck, another one that went down. HMS Iron Duke. Took part in the Battle of Jutland in May 1916, there you go. And then, oh, this is a sensitive subject. We have got HMS Victory. The Victory and the Vasa. The Vasa is the Swedish one, isn't it? Now, HMS Victory, there's a lot of people are getting on the high horse, a bit like I did with Jaguar. My friend Jason, Model Kit Stuff, he's very keen that this gets retooled. But we just don't know how well this sells. I think that maybe it'll happen. Maybe, I don't think nobody complained. But it is quite old now, and they're very expensive to buy them. And then at the end, we've really just got the technical index, things like, which is quite good at Airfix do. They do this technical index where you can see how many pieces are in the kit and the dimensions, so you can figure out if it will fit in your cabinet or not. And they do that for everything, basically. All the acknowledgements to different companies that have helped them produce this. Humbrol paints, Humbrol acrylics. They obviously still, they're still going this range, and yeah, I won't comment on that. It's not a product I use myself, but there we go. Some nice photographs here. Various glues, putty, their workstation and accessory sets that they have, cutting mats, etc., tools, all the brushes, and the product chart. And then finally, this is something I haven't really noticed before, they've got these scales scenics where they've got some useful things. Now, what scales are they, does it say? Basically they're trees and grasses and little mats for making dioramas, various materials for dioramas, including static grass. A lot of people some of these dioramas people do are quite incredible, the static grass sticking up. Looks so good. So we've got flockage and flock, foliage, scatter, static grass and liching. How interesting. Definitely worth checking out, I'd say. And that, folks, is it. So there you go. That is your 2025 Airfix product catalogue for this year. Got to say that thank you to Airfix for sending that to me. It's Meteor catalogue. There's a lot to get through there. I'm exhausted again. But I mean, it's always been a decent catalogue for many years now. I mean, they're very collectible as well, but I'm really getting a big book, really. Fantastic. What did you think? Well, what was your highlight? For me, well, my highlight is it's the Jag and the Stalwart, really. But there's a few interesting things in there. Yeah, maybe the two-seater Spitfire, and might get that. And there's the Lysander, which we'll be seeing very soon. Plenty to look forward to in the near future. Please stay tuned to the channel because we'll be reviewing several of these kits in the fullness of time. Lysander, I suspect, will be in very, very short order. So stick around and you can have a look at what I think about those. Anyway, until next time, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, give us a like. I give Airfix's catalogue 10 out of 10 because it's very nicely presented. Absolutely huge, chock full of stuff. You can read that for hours and just wind back the memories, you know. So there was one thing I didn't, before I go, there was one thing I didn't pay attention to, which was on the 24 scale. Where are the 24 scale aircraft? Because I didn't, somehow in my mind I seem to have not. Yes, we saw that, we saw that. Did I miss a page or something? I don't remember the 24. Is it the front? Aircraft. Jaguar history. I like that they did that. They did a good job there, didn't they? 24 scale. 89. Right, okay, so it should be. I'm missing something here. They seem to have only showed the Spitfire. The only 24 scale they seem to have shown is the Spitfire Mark 8. Page 87, page 89. And that's the last page. Uh-oh, have I actually spotted a mistake? Because at the front it says 124 scale. Pages 52 to 89. I must admit, it must be me, I must have missed something, surely. 124 scale, for those who want the ultimate in detail. Yes, yes. 72nd, 72nd, then the Wessex. 72nd, 72nd, then the Chinook. Liberator, Lancaster, the new Spitfires, 48th, Lysander, 48th, the Buccaneer, page 84. Well, I have to tell you, the only 24 scale kits that's shown in this catalogue is the Mark 8 Spitfire. It's the only one. The page before we've got the Jaguar, the new Jaguar being announced, 86 to 87. Page 88 to 89, 24 scale Spitfire. I think they made a mistake. They must have done. I'm not going mad, am I? Oh dear, I'm going to be unpopular if I'm the one that's found it. I think they have. No, I think they've got. Something's gone a little bit wrong here. It's not showing the Stuka. It doesn't show the Mark 9, unless they've put them elsewhere, but it shows it in this section and it's not present. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know whether that's a draft copy or a prototype copy. It'll be interesting to see. I just make that point. So, are there any other 24 scale kits in the catalogue apart from the Mark 8 Spit? Because I can't see them. Just not seeing that, to be honest. I'm kind of a little bit concerned that I've gone a bit mad or something, but no. 124, it only shows the Mark 8 Spit as well in the little graphic. I think that might be an oversight, or a small mistake's been made. So unfortunately ending on a slight negative there, but it's just a bit odd. So where would surely the Mark, is that the only one that's in production? Because surely they've carried on. We know that they reintroduced the Stuka. These kits were on the website. They were on the website, but they don't seem to be in the actual physical catalogue. Anyway, have a look yourselves and see if you pick up on that. Anyway, other than that, thank you to Airfix for showing it to us. Appreciate them sending that to me. Very interesting indeed. All the things I want are in there. It's fine. But I know that they had the Mustang. The Mustang was reintroduced, wasn't it, last year? So I'm surprised that I'm sure there's a page. I'm sure there should be 2 pages, a double spread that's missing, with your Mustang, your Stuka, Hurricane, and your pom to the one. Maybe not the Messerschmitt 109 because that's not in production, is it? Or the FW, that's not in production. But there's the D-Day Spitfire, Mark 9. So there's at least another 4, isn't there, I can think of. And the Harrier. How odd, it just vanished. They're not in the catalogue. Anyway, see what you think. If I have discovered a mistake, I'm sorry Airfix, I'm sorry if I'm the one that's slightly Emperor's New Clothes and called it out. I just spotted it at the end. I thought it was because I'd made a mistake and I missed the page, but it doesn't appear to be so. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please, I'm going to have to give Airfix 9.5 out of 10. Because they're losing a point because they seem to have missed the rest of the 24 scale range, which is quite important. Other than that, very good work, and the announcements for this year are certainly very welcome indeed. So, yeah, and I've ordered mine. Have you ordered yours? Well, you better hurry up because I think I'm going to sell out pretty quick. I hope they've. Very difficult to know how many to actually allocate. I hope they've got plenty planned to come in, especially on those Jags. And I think the Stalwart will do all right as well. I think that's going to be quite popular. Not to mention the Spitfire 2-seater. There's my pick for the year anyway. So thank you very much indeed. Hope to see you again soon. We'll have some more reviews I think will interest you. So until next time, stay well, stay safe, look after yourselves. Thank you very much for watching the vid and supporting the channel. We're almost at 10,000 views. I think after the 10,000, by the way, I'll probably have a little rest. And until next time, which will be very, very soon, thanks for your time, take care of yourselves, and bye for now.